Again, this is me standing here by myself, and this is a group of 40 plus people. Not a single one of them will come up and have a conversation. Not a single one. But I'm hateful. I'm hateful. Hate does not make America great. Stop spreading false information. Anti-fake news. Stop the lies. Stop the hate. PragerU is here to hate. Here to hate. I'm so hateful standing here asking people to come forth and talk to me.
Hi everybody. Auntie speaks. That was Amala Ekpunobi. And hopefully I pronounced that right. Amala is awesome. She rose to fame on TikTok. I actually featured one of her TikToks where she came out and basically destroyed the entire white privilege narrative. She is half black and half white, and she was a lefty. Yes. She, out of high school, she started working for lefty organizations. She has a BLM tattoo. So she had a come to Jesus moment where she's like, okay, I can't hate half of myself, and half of myself is white. So I'm going to link Amala, her channel, her PragerU channel, which is done by Dennis Prager, who I also love, down in the comments. So please check her out. She was going to do a talk at a Minnesota University, Winona State. I believe it's Winona State. It's a relatively smaller university in the wilds of Minnesota, down south or something like that. This is not in a major city. And the faculty of the college had a problem with this. So they did a letter to the editor, and it was awesome because Amala was sitting in for Dennis Prager on a Jewish holiday, and she talked about this letter. So we are going to have Amala herself reading through this letter that came from the faculty on how she is hateful and a terrible person. And yeah, she creates an unsafe space for those college professors. They can't handle what is she, 21 or 22-year-old coming to her campus. Yeah, they can't handle it. She's too scary. Amala, take it away.
Written by the Faculty Association. Cannot stress that enough. The Faculty Association at Winona State University. Quote, last year, Amala Ekpunobi spoke at WSU. Ekpunobi's speech included comments that expressed a derogatory attitude towards people with trans and non-binary identities, denial of the existence of institutional or systemic racism, and rejections of the notion that sexism against women is still a problem in the United States society. End quote. Let's go through those. So a derogatory attitude towards trans or non-binary people. I have no hate for non-binary or trans people. I would like to question the ideology behind some of their views, but no hate or derogatory attitude towards them. Denials of the existence of institutional or systemic racism. Absolutely. I'll stand by that statement any day. And lastly, rejection of the notion that sexism against women is still a problem in the United States of America. I don't remember ever making a quote like that. As long as sex exists, there will be people who are sexist. Women can be sexist. Men can be sexist. Now, are we going to argue that it's a systemic problem? If so, then I reject that idea.
All of that seems rather reasonable, doesn't it? Yes, racism exists. Yes, sexism exists. As long as there are different races and as long as there are different sexes, there will be stupid people who don't like the opposite sex. And no, Black people can be racist. And no, women can be sexist. Those seem like rather reasonable arguments, don't you think?
Let's keep reading. Quote, these assertions directly contradict our Faculties Association position regarding equity and inclusion. Our union's equity and inclusion plan states that, quote, it is imperative that we challenge systemic oppression to empower marginalized members, end quote. The letter to the editor continues, when the speech of political provocateurs like Ekpunobi is elevated on our campus, it creates a climate that is not inclusive and is not safe for our most marginalized faculty. To this end, we want to assure every single faculty member on this campus that you have your union's full support if you decide to stay away from Winona State's campus on the day of Ekpunobi's presentation. End quote. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot help but laugh at something like this. Like I said, I'm a 22-year-old girl, 115 pounds soaking wet, and the faculty at this school is scared to be on campus on the day that I arrive for my speech. Views are too provocative for them to handle. My mere presence is too provocative for them to handle. And what this points out to me is everything that is wrong with higher education in the United States of America today. Everything that is wrong with it. That you have faculty members who are meant to be on this campus in order to promote free speech, to promote dissident opinions, to promote healthy civic debate. And they can't even do that.
Yeah, she's pretty smart. What is happening to our universities? And we've been seeing this happen over the last 10 years. Our universities have been degrading down to the lowest denominator. Most of these college students, number one, don't seem to be learning anything. They graduate college stupider than when they went in. They're not encouraged to be challenged. Most of them go through 4 or 5 years of college never hearing an opposing point of view. And oh my goodness, if they go into college and they're conservative, that's got to be tough. That has got to be tough because you're afraid of everything that you write down, every report that you put in, that the teacher's going to find out that you have different views. That is not what a university used to be. You used to go to a university and you were challenged. Your opinions were challenged. Debate clubs, they would force you to debate someone else's point of view. And that is a good exercise. When you have to debate your opponent's point of view, then you learn what your opponent's point of view is. Most of these students have no idea what Amala believes in. No idea what prageru believes in. Because it's sanitized from the conversation, which is super scary. I don't know about you guys, but when I went to college, I was challenged all over the place. Now, I was getting a science degree. I have a degree in chemistry and business. And so I'm a little bit different in that I was in the sciences. So you don't have a lot of political discussion. But I don't remember any lunatics on my college campus way back when. Now, when Amala went to speak, there was, of course, protesters outside. Now, these weren't the crazy protesters that you see in other ones. They were just holding signs, and they weren't trying to bust stuff or burn stuff down. But Amala went out and spoke to them. And here are some of those conversations.
So I'm wondering if you guys would be willing to come inside and listen to the event. Why is that?
Your organization is known for spreading hateful information that is, just blatantly not true.
Okay, so can you give me an example of the hateful information that... Oh, I don't spread any hate, and that's why I want to invite you guys to come in and actually listen to the speech. I think it's important. So for those of you who don't know me, I used to work for the left myself. If you check my arm right here, you'll see a nice little civil rights fist on my arm because that's what I used to work for and that's what I used to represent. Coming here to actually talk about that story and what I do now for prageru, I would really appreciate it that if you're going to protest something or somebody when they're speaking on a campus, that you should probably listen to what they have to say.
Isn't that a unique thought? Listening to someone you oppose, listening to their point of view. That's a new concept for the left. They don't know what that is.
Because I'm seeing signs that say hate. I'm seeing signs that say false information. I'm seeing that hate does not make America great. And I agree with all of those statements. I don't agree with hate. I don't agree with false information. It's interesting that we're saying we're here for a food drive and you're all holding signs that say hate doesn't belong at WSU. Hate does not make America great. No human is illegal. Welcome to a real university. So I'm curious as to what is the barrier between you and the door into the event. So what is the barrier? Does anybody else have a barrier that's stopping them from going into this event?
We just personally don't want to.
You plan on going in? That's great. That's great. I really appreciate that. I think more people should. Because I used to protest things all the time, and a lot of times it was things that I didn't understand that I was going to protest. And it's important that you go in and try to understand people before you make hateful signs for them.
Yeah. Stop hate. That's basically the modus operandi of the left. Just call your opponent hateful. Call them racist, call them homophobic, call them anti-Semitic. If you don't know Prager, Dennis Prager, who Amala works for at prageru, he's Jewish. And he's kind of like a famous Jew. He's like written a bunch of books on Judaism. And when he went to speak at a couple of college campuses, they called him an anti-Semite. So somebody pointed out to these people, I was like written up in the paper that he was an anti-Semite. Of course, the other thing, he was racist, he was homophobic, and he was an anti-Semite. They put them all together because, you know, why not? Dennis has a famous phrase called Six Herb: sexist, intolerant, homophobic, Islamophobic, racist. He's got like a whole line. It's really, really funny. Maybe I can find a clip of it and put it in here. But someone went to him and said, you know, he's a famous Jew. Probably isn't anti-Semitic. But that's what the left does. All you have to do is demonize your opponent. Then you don't have to listen to what they have to say.
Are somehow letting the bystander effect settle in right now, and nobody wants to come and have civil discourse.
We're just here as a silent
Yes, okay, but you're silently protesting ideologies. I'm standing here saying, let's talk about our ideologies. Let's talk about the differences in those ideologies. You tell me why I'm wrong, and if you're right, I will concede that. Is it not the goal of the polarity right now to end it? To end the division that's happening right now? How do you think you end division in a country? You talk it through, yet nobody is willing to come forth and have a conversation. Actively. We have selective outrage in this country, and it's selective outrage towards people who look like me. It's a massive effort to label people who look like me as a victim, which is what we're going to talk about in this right now. There's a massive amount of white students right now out here, and I don't even need to use the race card, but a massive amount of white students out here talking about black oppression in America to me, as I'm actively talking about it to them. And very few of them want to have civil discourse. And in 45 minutes when this speech begins, I hope to see the majority of you in there, because that's the whole point of why I'm coming here. I come here to talk to people who support me. I think that's great. But I come here even more to talk to you guys. Like I said, I used to work for the left. I was the one organizing these protests. I was the one outside picketing people who had different opinions than mine. Now I'm the one trying to talk to you guys and say, hey, what you believe, although I understand why you believe it, I understand it's very emotional. You want to do something that's good. But what you're doing right now is not necessarily good.
Yeah. Bunch of white students trying to tell an African-American young girl that she's a victim. Yes, they do the same thing to women. Try to tell them that they're victims. Feminism has destroyed women. When I was growing up, you had to be strong. And it's hilarious. And the end here is just perfect, where she's like, I want to talk to you. I want to have a discussion with you on your point of view and my point of view and where we differ. Isn't that the point? Isn't the point for us all to come together? Isn't that what we need in this country? No. Because the left has to divide people. They have to have division between black and white, women, men, homosexual, heterosexual. They have to make a victim group. If there isn't a victim group, then they will not get elected. Life in America is pretty darn cushy. It's a little bit more difficult now. I understand that with inflation and the economy, I can't even look at my investments now. No, I can't even look at them. So I'm going to end it here, guys. Hopefully you like this. Please leave a comment below. Please share this. Please subscribe. Tell me what you'd like me to talk about. And go to PragerU, support them and support Amala over there. She's just awesome. And she is the future of our country. If we could make all the young people speak and talk like her, I think we'd have a very, very bright future. So thanks so much, guys. We'll see you on the next one.